Hello, this is Anna from Madame Saw. Today we're going to make a nice little open wide pouch. Opens really wide so you can really see the stuff inside. And we are going to use our triangle templates, which are new and I was itching to use them. So let's get to it. Let's start by cutting all our rectangles first. And I recommend that you starch your fabric. It'll make it easier, especially the one you're going to use for the triangles. So follow the pattern and then I'll show you how to cut the triangles. So if you don't have a rotary cutting mat like I don't, try to angle it so that, try to plan your moves so that it's not too hard, so that you don't end up cutting like that, okay? And just plan where you're going to put your template. And I'm going to align mine this way. Now hold it tight because this one is not very grippy. They're a little more slippery than the rulers. So just hold it tight and slide your ruler to the tip. Slide your cutter. Sorry. And now pull your fabric and now do the corners. Okay, so one. And see how this is an awkward move, but since it's such a tiny one, we can do it. There we go. And same thing here, I'm planning my cut so that my movements are not too awkward. They're always a little awkward, but let's just make it easy. Push it hard. Slide your blade against the edge. Don't worry about the tip, just go past it. And the reason why they have those corners are for seam allowance purposes. You won't have any overflow there. Let's cut all 8 triangles then. So now we're going to put this part together. So I have my first 2 triangles, one on top of the other. All the seam lines are aligned. And now I'm just going to do a 1/4 inch seam. And I'm using my favorite foot with the guide. All right, so now I'm just going to open this up, finger press it towards the darker side, okay? All right, and now turn it to the right side. And in this case, with this one, both sides are the same, so it doesn't matter, but it should be right sides together. Keep that in mind if you have a print, and you'll see it when my print comes up next. All right, so there we go. And now, so another 1/4 inch seam. So you see that your tips are not meeting all the way at the end because this is going to be your 1/4 inch seam. If they were at the top, then when you put this together with the next piece of fabric, you would have a chopped triangle, okay? So that's exactly what your seam is going to be. All right, and you just continue until the end of the row. All right, so now let's just give this a press. And for this very light fabric, I'm going to try to just get all the seams away from it, even if it means a little bit of a mess up here. I don't really care. I just don't want it to show. And for the rest, I'm just going to let them go whichever way they want to go. There we go. So now we're ready to put together the front panel. Okay, so let's do that. Right, so I've attached my 2-inch strip to the right side of my triangles, and it's the main color with the bottom of the main color triangles. Okay, so in my case that's beige, so the beige is running against the bottom of the beige triangles. Okay, and now we're just going to sew a 1/4 inch seam, and you'll see that the edge of the strip hangs over the tip of the triangle a little bit. I made that piece extra long on purpose so we don't have to worry about it so much. So now we're going to trim this piece to size, which is 4.5 by 12. The other side, just measure 12 inches and cut. And I made this piece 2 inches on purpose, so I have a little room to maneuver here. And now I need to cut it to 4.5. So now that it's trimmed, we're going to join it with the last piece for the front. And we're just going to make a 1/4 inch seam here, okay? And I'll see you when we're done. And we're going to do the same with the other part that is not pieced together. So we're just going to join these 2 pieces together, okay? And refer to the picture if you're a little confused about how to put it together. And then the last step will be to put the interfacing on. Just simply lay the interfacing over your front. Make sure that the bumpy side with the glue is against the wrong side of the fabric. And follow the instructions. On this particular one, it says wool setting and steam. So, and press and lift. So you just go around like that until you've done the whole thing. And then I like to turn it over and just give it another quick one on this side. All right, and now we're ready to put the whole thing together. So this is going to be the outside. And here I have my lining that's already interfaced with the lightweight interfacing. All right, so for the zipper, we're going to place one of the outside sides up, right side up. Then we're going to lay down the zipper with the teeth down. The zipper is closed and the pull is on this end. And we're going to lay it here. And this little guy is your best friend when it comes to installing a zipper. So, it's a little dry. But I'm just going to do a little glue, and that's going to help me. And it won't gunk up your machine. Do not worry about that. So line it up with the edge and just press it in place and give it a minute to dry. And now we're going to do the same thing with the lining. We're going to turn the lining right side down. Okay, so all the right sides of the fabrics are together, and we're going to secure it in the same way. Just some glue right on the edge there. And I actually went a little too far with the glue, because the trick for the open wide pouch is that you stop stitching the zipper a full inch from the end. So I am going to make a mark here. So when I get to this point, when I'm sewing, what I'm going to do is actually pull the zipper off like this and finish sewing my seam without the zipper, okay? And that way you'll be able to zip all the way off the pouch, and it will be able to open really wide. And maybe I'll just put a clip, make sure it doesn't move. All right, so I'm going to bring this to the machine. And now we're just going to give it a good press, turn wrong sides together and press the edge before we install the other side of the zipper. And now same thing. Glue up the zipper, put the lining right side down, matching the edge with the edge of the zipper. Then turn it over. And again, put some glue along the edge of the zipper. Now place the front piece right side down, matching the edge against the zipper tape. Don't forget to pull the tape off the end there for about 1 inch before you bring it to the machine. Okay, so it's all turned right side out. I've pressed the edges, both sides, looking good. And before I go any further, I'm just gonna cut. If I didn't have a ridiculously long zipper like this one, I would save this for the end, but because it's so long, I'm just gonna get rid of it now because it's in my way. So here is my little zipper tab. It's a 2 by 3 inch piece, and I've interfaced mine because it's, you know, my linen is just so thin. So it's interfaced, and I have started by pressing my edges in by a 1/2 inch. Okay. And then I fold it in half and press it again. So it's really a nice thing. So now I'm going to cut my zipper about 3 inches from the edge. There we go. Get rid of that. Actually, that one is so long I can probably use it again. All right, and now I'm just going to slide this under my zipper, fold it over, and now fold it over again. Okay, and we're going to take it to the machine and just sew a narrow seam all around the edge here, and then we can move on to finishing our pouch. There's the finished zipper tab, and now we're just going to put right sides together and basically sew all around. But before we do that, okay, we are going to open the zipper. In my case, I'm going to open it all the way. You don't really need to, but mine is pretty stiff, so I'm going to open it all the way because it makes it easier for me to fold it towards the inside. And this is important because you want an unobstructed seam here, okay? Otherwise it won't open. So I'm going to put right sides together, and I am going to put a few pins, clips, because it's going to be helpful. I'm going to make sure this seam is matching. And it is, and on the other side as well. And now a couple of clips on these edges. Maybe this seam needs to match as well. And last thing I need to do is just mark my opening here. And I'd say about 3 inches should be enough. Actually, let me put a couple of pins because I will forget. And so right over it. And for this, we're going to do a 1/2 inch seam all around. It's just going to make it easier to go over those bulky seams on the edges, okay? Okay, so we're going to bring it to the machine, and we are almost done. Then we just need to box the corners, and we'll be completely done. All right, so here it is. We've sewn all around, leaving an opening. And before we turn it inside out, we need to box the corners. So here's what we do. We're going to pull them open. Okay, and we are going to open the seam and try to match the seam. Just feel it. Make sure that you're aligning it as best you can. Okay, and now you're going to make a 4-inch line here. Your center line should be aligned with the seam, and then the 0 and the 4 should coincide with your edges. It doesn't, which means that this is not properly aligned. There we go. Just mark your seam. And keep it together while you do the other corners. And now a simple seam across. Just back up at the beginning and the end and go right across all 4 corners. Okay, here are our boxed corners. Let's just trim them about a 1/2 inch from the seam. Turn it right side out. All right, so last tiny little thing. I'm going to sew this. And you can either just do an invisible seam by hand, or you can just do a very narrow seam over there and you will be done. Nice little pouch, and it opens all the way so you can see everything inside. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project, and if you have any questions, as always, let us know in the comments, and do follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.